Okay, let's unpack this. We are doing a deep dive today into a classified government document. It's officially listed as MRB-BIO-2052-0812-C.
And this is a really, really restricted file. It's the analysis of what happened to pilot Elias Thorne and his cloud seeder, Unit 09, back in 2052.
Right over the Sector 4 reclamation zone, what used to be Kansas farmland.
Well, this isn't just about a disappearance. This is about analyzing a physical impossibility. Thorne did vanish, but his plane, it came back.
It came back on autopilot, landed perfectly, sealed and locked.
Exactly. And the terrifying part, the reason this file is so classified is what they found inside. When the recovery teams finally breached the canopy, the cockpit was flooded.
And not just with any liquid. We're talking about 400 liters of high-pressure salt water.
Thousands of miles from any ocean.
So that's the core problem. The Aviation Safety Board, the ASB, they tried to explain this away and left them with two completely opposed theories.
Theories that just can't exist in the same reality.
On one hand, you have a tragic, but, a conventional event, physiological failure, pilot hypoxia.
And on the other, a catastrophic failure of reality itself. What some analysts started calling a transient barometric rift.
So today, we're going to weigh the evidence. We have the pilot's final audio transcript, which seems to point one way,
against the physical analysis of that impossible fluid, which points somewhere else entirely.
And I think, to start, we have to plant a flag on the side of conventional physics, the official conclusion, scenario C. It's logical.
It is. It posits acute pilot hypoxia. At 25,000 feet, Elias Thorne just ran out of oxygen. He got disoriented, started hallucinating, and it led to a whole cascade of errors.
So let's talk about the transcript. What did Thorne actually say that fits so perfectly with oxygen starvation?
Well, if you look at the flight log, timestamp 14.52.0, this is just seconds before it all goes wrong, Thorne reports seeing bioluminescence.
Bioluminescence. In the sky over Kansas.
Yes, he talks about small, drifting lights outside the jet. Colors that just shouldn't be there in the dark.
And ASB analysts jumped all over that.
Of course. Seeing glowing shapes, visual distortions. It's a classic textbook symptom of severe oxygen deprivation. The brain is literally making things up. He was clearly in distress.
So his mind is failing, he's panicking? That leads directly to the official explanation for the water, doesn't it?
It does. The ASB theory is that Thorne, hallucinating that his cockpit was on fire or flooding, made a mistake. He hit the manual dump for the cloud seeding chemicals.
He thought it was a fire suppression system.
Exactly. And at the same time, a valve fails, a rare but known issue, causing a massive backwash. It floods the cockpit with his own payload.
And that explains the liquid. It explains the suddenness, keeps everything neat and tidy, and it keeps the Pacific Ocean out of the equation. It's tragic, but it's explainable.
It's a very strong argument for human error. It's internally consistent right up until the point you actually look at the liquid itself.
A hallucination can make a pilot pull the wrong lever.
Right. But it can't change the chemical composition of industrial coolant. It can't induce the kind of physical damage they found. That's where the whole official theory just collapses.
Okay, so let's pivot to that. Let's get into the investigator's case. It all starts with the findings of Dr. Jean Moreau, the report that Director Vance tried to bury.
Moreau's analysis was simple. The fluid was not silver iodide, not even close.
So what was it?
It was water, but its profile was, well, impossible. It had a salinity of 35 parts per thousand.
Which is a perfect match
for average Pacific Ocean water, and it was cold. The report says 4 degrees Celsius. Near freezing. That doesn't just suggest an ocean, it suggests depth.
But the real kicker was the microbiology.
And the microbiology, yeah. The water sample contained plankton, planktonic matter that is only consistent with one place on Earth, the bathypelagic zone.
The midnight zone. We're talking, 1,000 to 4,000 meters deep, an environment of total darkness and crushing pressure.
Precisely. This water, found in a sealed jet in a Kansas field, carried the biological signature of the deep, deep ocean.
Now, I have to play skeptic here. Because Director Vance of the ASB, he threw this all out. He called Moreau's genetic findings a computer glitch. He had Moreau relieved of duty for acute stress psychosis.
He did.
The official line became that the evidence chain was compromised, that it was all just lab contamination.
And that's a fair point to raise, but contamination doesn't account for 400 liters. It doesn't account for the temperature, the salinity, and it certainly doesn't account for the pressure damage.
You can hear the frustration in Moreau's interrogation transcript.
Oh, absolutely. He says, and this is a direct quote, "Coolant isn't saline. Coolant doesn't crush a human ribcage. There is no ocean for 300 miles. Where did the 400 liters of salt water come from?
He's right. The issue isn't just a few stray microbes in a petri dish. It's the sheer physical legacy of the event.
The volume, the temperature, the composition, none of it can be explained away by a simple backwash or contamination.
So let's go back to the black box. That critical window, just 20 seconds, between 14.52.0 and 14.52.30. What did the flight recorder actually log in those final moments?
This is where it gets really strange. At 14.52.25, the data points become physically impossible for an airplane.
Main.
The altitude reading drops from 32,000 feet to negative 3,200 feet.
Negative. Below sea level, it's reading it as depth.
And at the exact same instant, the cabin pressure sensor spikes to its maximum reading, 4,500 psi, a critical, unsurvivable event.
And the skeptic's view on this is simple. The sensors are just broken. The violent chemical dump the pilot triggered just fried the electronics, leading to junk data.
Right, and Thorne's final screams, "It's crushing the glass, it's not sky, we're under."
That's just the hallucination reaching its peak. It's panic. It's a symptom of the hypoxia that started it all.
But the investigator sees that same data and comes to a completely different conclusion.
A completely different one. The investigator argues the sensors aren't malfunctioning at all. They're recording perfectly. They're accurately describing the new environment.
So the 4,500 psi reading is the actual pressure being exerted on the cockpit from the outside. It aligns perfectly with the physical evidence. That's the force that crushed the seals and injected 400 liters of deep sea water into the plane.
The pilot's final scream, then, wasn't a delusion.
No, it was an accurate, terrifyingly literal description of what was happening to him.
This feeds directly into Moreau's suppressed theory.
It does. His theory was that for a few seconds, the atmosphere and the abyss, they're swapping coordinates. He argued Thorne didn't fly into a storm cloud. He flew into the bathypelagic zone.
And that's where this investigation it completely stalls, because you are left with two sets of facts that cannot coexist.
Exactly. On one side, you have the psychological evidence, Pilot Thorne's transcript, the lights, the panic. It all points very logically to severe hypoxia and human error.
A clean, conventional explanation, but then you have the aftermath.
The physical reality. The 400 liters of 35 parts per thousand, 4 degrees Celsius deep sea water. The pressure spike. The biological matter. You simply cannot explain the consequences of the incident using the official cause.
A hallucination doesn't leave behind a crime scene like this.
It can't. It doesn't leave behind a high-pressure, physical water legacy.
So you're left with this impossible contradiction. The logic of what happened in the pilot's head versus the undeniable physical reality of deep ocean water found in a desert cornfield.
And that's the unsettling question you have to consider.
If the plane didn't crash into the ocean, and the pilot wasn't just hallucinating, did the plane just for a moment travel somewhere? The sky was the ocean.
And if it did, how do we trust the boundaries of our own reality moving forward?